दुनिया के देश के नंबर 1 न्यूज़ चैनल नेटवर्क न्यूज़ 18 का, जिस पर करोड़ों व्यूअर्स भरोसा करते हैं, क्योंकि वो न्यूज़ 18 ही है जो सबसे पहले हर सटीक खबर आप तक पहुंचाता है और आपसे जुड़े हर जरूरी मुद्दे को लेकर आपकी आवाज बनता है। इंडियाज ब्रेड बास्केट कहे जाने वाले पंजाब की पहचान यहाँ के शानदार इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट और डेवलप्ड इंडस्ट्री से भी होती है। यहाँ की उपजाऊ मिट्टी क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन के साथ साथ बिजनेस एंड इंडस्ट्रीज को भी रफ्तार दे रही है। वर्ल्ड क्लास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और बिजनेस फ्रेंडली एनवायरनमेंट यहाँ कारोबार कर रहे कारोबारियों की तरक्की को नई ऊंचाइयां दे रहा है। आज पंजाब के बिजनेस लीडर्स प्रदेश और देश ही नहीं बल्कि ग्लोबल मार्केट में भी नई ऊंचाइयों को छू रहे हैं। इसीलिए आज इस सबसे बड़े मंच पर हम आपकी मुलाकात कराएंगे उन बिजनेस आइकॉन से जिनके डेडिकेशन, विजन और अचीवमेंट से पंजाब से लेकर नॉर्थ इंडिया के बिजनेस जगत में नई पहचान बन पाई है। बिजनेस के सबसे बड़े बाजीगरों के नाम आज का ये महामंच है। न्यूज़ 18 पंजाब हरियाणा बिजनेक्स्ट पंजाब शेपिंग बिजनेस कनेक्शंस, co-presented by Dear Government Lotteries, powered by Reliance Industries Limited. I once again welcome all of you present here. Moving forward, can we have the show AV please?
ग्रेनरी ऑफ इंडिया या इंडियाज ब्रेड बास्केट कहे जाने वाले पंजाब की पहचान आज हरे भरे खेत खलिहानों तक ही नहीं रह गई है, बल्कि नॉर्थ इंडिया के बिजनेस हब के तौर पर बिजनेस जगत की बुलंदियां छू रहा है पंजाब। देश में ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस रैंकिंग में तेजी से ऊंचे पायदान चढ़ने वाले पंजाब की गिनती उन टॉप अचीवर्स में की जाती है जो अपने इमर्जिंग बिजनेस इकोसिस्टम्स, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और सुविधाओं के चलते दिग्गज इन्वेस्टर्स की पसंदीदा डेस्टिनेशन बना हुआ है। इसका श्रेय पंजाब के उन एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को भी जाता है जिन्होंने अपने इनोवेटिव विजन एंड मिशन, स्ट्रेटेजी और नेटवर्किंग से बिजनेस जगत में कामयाबी की कहानी लिखी है। पंजाब में बेहतर बिजनेस नेटवर्किंग से विकास, रोजगार और इकोनॉमी को मजबूत करने की दिशा में ठोस कदम उठाए जा रहे हैं। निवेश को रफ्तार देने के मकसद से इंडस्ट्रियल फीडबैक लेकर नई इंडस्ट्रियल पॉलिसी तैयार की गई है, जिसमें इंडस्ट्री की परेशानियों को कम करने के लिए सिंगल विंडो सिस्टम को सुचारू रखने पर जोर दिया गया है। बिल्डिंग प्लान के लिए सिंगल एजेंसी अप्रूवल कॉन्सेप्ट लाया गया है। बिजनेस वर्ल्ड में धूम मचा रहे पंजाब के इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट से जुड़े मुद्दों को सामने लाना जरूरी है। बिजनेस नेटवर्किंग में कितना सुधार हुआ है, देश को सुपर इकोनॉमी बनाने का लक्ष्य हासिल करने में पंजाब का बिजनेस सेक्टर किस तरह योगदान दे रहा है, ऐसे कई जरूरी पहलुओं पर बातचीत का महामंच लेकर आ रहा है न्यूज़ 18, एक ऐसा मंच जहां पंजाब के बिजनेस सेक्टर को नई पहचान दिलाने वाले लीडर्स होंगे एक साथ। पैनल डिस्कशन में बिजनेस, नेटवर्किंग और डेवलपमेंट से जुड़े जरूरी मुद्दों के जवाब तलाशे जाएंगे। साथ ही फ्यूचर रोड मैप भी तैयार किया जाएगा, जहां मिलेगा हर सवाल का जवाब। वो सबसे बड़ा मंच है न्यूज़ 18 पंजाब हरियाणा बिजनेक्स्ट पंजाब।
पंजाब में बिजनेस सेक्टर से जुड़े डेवलपमेंट, रिसोर्सेज, नेटवर्किंग, ऐसे तमाम इश्यूज पर बातचीत करने के लिए आज इस मंच पर अलग अलग सेशंस होंगे, जिसमें बिजनेस लीडर्स अपने सुझाव और अपने ओपिनियंस आप सबसे शेयर करेंगे। तो चलिए लेट्स डाइव डायरेक्टली इनटू द फर्स्ट सेशन ऑफ द इवनिंग। द नेम ऑफ दिस सेशन इज स्टार्टिंग एंड सस्टेनिंग नेक्स्ट। इस सेशन में बातचीत का सिलसिला शुरू करने के लिए मैं प्लीज इनवाइट ऑन स्टेज मिस्टर ज्योति कमल, मैनेजिंग एडिटर न्यूज़ 18 पंजाब हरियाणा। Mr. Jyoti Kamal. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I welcome on stage our panelists. Sparsh Kaur, co-founder, AgNext Technologies. Nitin Chaudhary, founder, CEO, Digital Series. Mr. Vikram R. Singh, founder and CEO, Enter Solutions. to you, Jyoti.
Thank you so much, Misha. And thank you everybody for participating in Biznext 2023. We have a very distinguished panel with us. So we'll basically be exploring business next. What are the trends that we are seeing, how business is changing. It's in fact exponentially changing with the injection of artificial intelligence, technology, digital kind of technologies which are increasingly becoming a part of literally every business. So that is something that we would like to explore from the different areas that you all come from. In fact, if we start with you, Vikram, blockchains, something which one wouldn't have associated with Mohali in terms of you literally building a business on it. Of course, we kept hearing about blockchains, we kept hearing about the whole technology. It was particularly associated with the cryptocurrency, and then you kind of build an entire business on it. So when you were looking at kind of diversifying from your business trajectory into this whole new kind of business of blockchain, and then seeing how you can further build it up, ramp it up, scale it up, what was that defining moment at which point you decided to take that plunge and then start scaling it up and then start looking at building it as a Biznext?
Right. So thanks for having me here, first of all. So I would say like we being the largest talent pool in this space, in the blockchain space, right? And it was in 2017, end of 16 and start of 17 when we were looking around, kind of, what areas we can specialize in, right? And so we were looking around, like there was a lot of noise happening around crypto space, right? So, but since like this first use case was kind of like towards the sending and receiving of money and maybe like also sponsoring, getting into the wrong hands, I would say. So, however, when we dig deeper into this thing, we were completely kind of like bowled out and maybe sold out, I would say. The sacred, the vision which was behind the invention of the cryptocurrencies. So number one was the the ease of sending money abroad was the best the part. The second was the the ownership, like for example what used to happen when there used to be economic crisis in the West, right? So people used to lose their money, the hard-earned money which was used to lying with the banks, right? So crypto provided the customers, the end users, the full control over their assets, right? And the third was the financial inclusion, right? So it was literally impossible or very costly affair for any bank to set up their the operation in a remote place where you have only maybe 30 odd customer, right? That was the the time when we were completely kind of sold out on the sacred vision it had behind behind the invention of the cryptocurrencies. And though our focus, our belief has always been on to the technology itself. We always believe that whether the Bitcoin or crypto or anything, whether they will make it to the regulatory framework. But one thing they will be able to achieve, that it will force the government to come up with their own CBDCs. And fast forward now 6 years, I would say that we have already starting seeing those experiments happening even in India, right? So, so again, when the money becomes programmable, only then the real innovation, in the blockchain space will happen. And as you would have probably seen that the best use cases which we have witnessed, in the recent time, they are all in the financial world only. So people have built like DeFi platforms, decentralized finance platform, like lending and borrowing protocols. So the gaming, if you see, like the financial industry is moving towards the gamification, and the gaming industry is moving towards the financialization. So coming back to your question, so when we adopted the this space, so we kind of evolved with this space and started building various products around this space. And as far as the the current trends which we are seeing right now, so if you see all the banks, all the enterprises the banks are especially moving towards the tokenization of the assets, like the illiquid assets which are lying with the banks, made with the real estate or made with the bonds or the securities. So what they are trying to do is to how to tokenize them and kind of let the customer, let the end users to trade them onto the secondary market exchanges. And at the same time, if you look at the private sector, the enterprises are trying to kind of create make their loyal customer as part the partner into their brand, right? Kind of by fractionalizing or maybe creating NFTs out of their the services or the products. So that's the, you know, some of the latest trends which we are witnessing. And at the same time, when you look at the public sector, right, the public sector, the governments, they are also trying to, you know, bring the blockchain within their own kind of like, you know, the use cases.
In fact, it is interesting that almost every business now has become substantially incomprehensible to people who do not really are specializing in that particular business. Till about 30 years back, a business could generally be explained to anybody, but this is my business all about. But with blockchains and utilizing blockchains and then trying to explain why your business is blockchain and how you're planning to utilize it must be a challenge. So, especially for example, you keep planning about building up Mohali as a blockchain capital and as a blockchain hub. पर जे असी इधर लोगों को समझाने की कोशिश करिए कि ब्लॉकचेन है की ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਲੌਕਚੇਨ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਿਫਾਈਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸਮਝਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ
ਵੈਰੀ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿੰਗ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਸੋ ਯਾ ਸੋ
ਮੈਂ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕਲੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਤਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿਓ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਲੌਕਚੇਨ ਨੂੰ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਇੱਧਰ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਿ ਬਲੌਕਚੇਨ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ ਹੈ ਕੀ
ਰਾਈਟ ਸੋ ਬਲੌਕਚੇਨ ਮੈਂ ਕਹੂੰਗਾ ਕਿ ਇਟ ਇਜ਼ ਸਿਨੋਨਿਮਸ ਟੂ ਟਰਸਟ ਲਾਈਕ ਫॉर एग्जांपल ਜੇ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਪਰਚੇਸ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਆਨਲਾਈਨ ਜਾਂ ਆਫਲਾਈਨ ਵੀ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਤਾਂ ਦ ਵੈਰੀ ਫਸਟ ਥਿੰਗ ਐਨੀਬਡੀ ਵੁੱਡ ਡੂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਪਿਕ ਅਪ ਏ ਫੋਨ ਤੇ ਆਸਕ ਦੀ ਐਕਸਪਰਟ ਕਿ ਹਾਂ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਮੇਰਾ ਕੋਈ ਜਾਣਕਾਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਪੁੱਛਾਂ ਸੋ ਦੈਟ ਆਈ ਕੈਨ ਹੈਵ ਦੈਟ ਕਾਈਂਡ ਆਫ ਟਰਸਟ ਕਿ ਹਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਜੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਕੁਝ ਬਾਏ ਕਰਨਾ ਜਾਂ ਸੈਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਟਰਸਟ ਇਜ਼ ਦੇਅਰ ਰਾਈਟ So blockchain is synonymous to trust. So there are four fundamental pillars actually ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕਿ for example transparency. It provides you the transparency like ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ transaction ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ transparency ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ it provides you immutability. ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਰਿਕਾਰਡ ਗਲਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਕੁਝ ਐਡ ਕਰਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਕਰੈਕਟ ਵੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਯੂ ਹੈਵ ਟੂ ਐਡ ਅਨਦਰ ਰੈਕਡ ਔਨ ਟੋਪ ਆਫ ਇਟ ਸੋ ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਵੈਸੇ ਬਲੌਕਚੇਨ ਕੀ ਹੈ DLT ਹੈ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰੀਬਿਊਟਡ ਲੈਜਰ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਫੀਚਰਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਟਰਸਟ ਟਰਾਂਸਪੇਰੈਂਸੀ ਸਿਕਿਉਰਿਟੀ ਇਮਿਊਟੇਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਨੈਂਸ ਕੀ ਲਾਈਕ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫॉर एग्जांपल ਸਪਲਾਈ ਚੇਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਲਾਈਕ ਫਾਰਮ ਤੋਂ ਚੱਲ ਕੇ ਐਂਡ ਕਸਟਮਰ ਦੇ ਹੱਥ ਤੱਕ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਤੇ ਵੈਲਿਊ ਐਡ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ so you can have complete track record of the the entire transaction so finally I would say कि एक छोटी सी example है for example there is a property being exchanged between you and me like मैं seller हाँ तुसी buyer हो right and there is a bank in between जिन्हें कोई funding वगैरह provide की है so blockchain की कह रही है कि जे एक transaction की जो तुसी transaction कर ली तुसी अपना जाके अपना टैली अपडेट कर लिया मैं अपना कर लिया बैंक ने अपने रिकॉर्ड्स अपडेट कर लिए सॉफ्टवेयर्स सो ब्लॉकचेन की कहती है कि ट्रांजैक्शन तो एक ही है वाई वी आर मेंटेनिंग 3 रिकॉर्ड्स 3 आप सिस्टम क्यों मेंटेन कर रहे हैं 3 सिस्टम वैन वी कैन हैव एवरीथिंग ऑन टू वन सिस्टम तो जोड़ा बंदा जिस ट्रांजैक्शन इन्वॉल्व है बेस्ड ऑन हिज ओन इन्वॉल्वमेंट यू कैन सी दैट पर्टिकुलर ट्रांजैक्शन सो दैट्स व्हाट ब्लॉकचेन इज इट्स DLT इट्स काइंड ऑफ लाइक हैक प्रूफ कोई इनू हैक नहीं कर सकता यू हैव मल्टीपल कॉपीज एवरीवेयर लाइक सिटिंग एट द डिफरेंट लोकेशंस सो आई होप does it make sense like
yes of course in fact we'll come back to blockchain technology and see why does it also have a little bit of criticism because it's a continuously built up record system where there are these blocks which are interconnected and for any record to be altered you will have to alter the entire block behind it and every transaction that happens builds onto the blockchain so basically it's an ever increasing register of transactions that are taking place so eventually it becomes more and more energy intensive for it to be maintained all across because it's a distributed network where all records are being parallelly modified as you're making any transactions but we'll come back to that before that Sparsh I'll come to you AgNext again another very routine business agriculture the mainstay of Punjab now completely being transformed with digital technologies with sensors fields will have multiple kind of sensors literally telling you everything about the field in terms of soil humidity in terms of other kind of parameters that are to be put into the agricultural field and then you have various other technologies which are now going into it to make sure that the output from the field is of a certain quality so that you can almost predict what kind of quality is going to come out of it what kind of quality is going to move into the retail chain and what is an end consumer finally getting on the plate for that a lot of technology is now going into it how did you kind of come upon this Biznext idea in terms of kind of going into this kind of a technology for agriculture
firstly thank you so much for having me here it's an honor to be here and I thank the audience for AgNext we started in the year 2016 While it started in the year 2016, the inception, the seeds of AgNext were like long time before. My founder, Taranjeet Singh, who was supposed to be here on the stage, couldn't be here. But I'll just tell you the background so that, I'll just set up the context here. So he was working with ITC after graduating from the Ivy colleges. He went to ITC and seeing the condition of farmers, how they are not valued for their produce, their hard work of 6 months gets judged in 2 minutes, was a problem that had to be solved. So the patience, the hard work, the time, and we being an agrarian economy, we know, and Punjab being, an economy which is highly agriculture dependent. So we can totally resonate to the problems of farmers. So to provide them the right incentivization was the problem that had to be solved. And when we have, and the most important thing is the price. And there are two main determinants of price. One is the quality and the other one is quantity. We know quantity is something that is quantified, it's measurable and you can easily count it. But quality is something which is very subjective. That was what AgNext had to solve. It took us 5 years to solve this problem. We took a lot of data, we built a lot of data. Currently we have around 4.5 million data points all across the country. We build data, we build our models, we build hardware, including the IoT sensors, including spectral technology, computer sciences. And based on the technology data and software, we revolutionized a system of quality assaying. So something that takes 1 week to assess, we are able to assess in less than a minute. So by having these solutions on field, the quality is assessed, the farmers knows what quality is they have produced, they get the right incentivization, and further, by getting the right quality in the food value system, it moves on different nodes and the whole value chain is fed with right quality. So by solving the input problem, the whole value chain, and end of the value chain is the consumer. So they are getting the right quality of food. So by getting in khalas, that is pure food, in the value chain, we are totally cleaning up the system. We are taking out non-transparency, we are taking out subjectiveness. And farmers, more importantly, are incentivized for their produce. Everybody gets the right value of the worth they have spent. So this was what we were solving. And this is something which was not easy. It's a huge problem. We have around 150 machine learning engineers and data scientists working for us at Mohali. We have an office in Gurgaon. We've set up an office in UAE as well. While we are currently there, we are working on different models, but this is not the end. There is, the food spectrum is infinite. So the problem is huge, we are getting better, and we are cleaning up the food value chain.
Yeah, interesting that you mentioned machine learning and that you have almost 150 people who are working on machine learning now. So it's ultimately becoming a lot about data points. Earlier, agriculture was very subjective. People had a general feeling for agriculture that I know that it's going to be good this year, I know that the weather is good, I know that the monsoons are going to be good, but now it's becoming very objective. And as you're gathering all these data points, they're also leading to, as you said, the machine learning specialists using those data layers to extract meaning from them. And as you kind of start extracting meaning, something that you're doing at AgNext is basically taking these hardware sensor technologies to the field itself, so that quality can be measured there. First point at which it is going to be measured is at the field. Then it is going to be measured at a storage facility. It is going to be thereafter measured probably at a retail facility. All these are going to become data points. And those data points eventually will start forming a map of quality. That if you get something from a particular area, there is a certain predictability of quality from that area. Yeah. For example, you can start predicting the quality of soil where this particular vegetable has grown, the quality of a particular product in terms of how it has moved through the value chain. So, as you look at all of this, what are the trends that you're seeing into the future, using all these technologies to actually look to the future of agriculture?
The last 5-6 years has, we as an Indian economy, we as AgNext has seen a steep change. We have seen the typical J curve. When we started in the year 2016, there were around 600 startups. Currently, there are around 90,000 startups. Technology.
600 agriculture-related startups.
No, I'm talking about the total startups,
Okay.
not agriculture-related
Alright.
startups. I'm talking about the economy. and the
Overall
scaling
startup
up.
ecosystem, right.
Yeah. People are adapting technology like never before. You rightly mentioned, like, you know, initially it was like, we already know, we are experienced in it, our ancestors have been doing, we are totally skilled in it. But then the problem, and then there was no solution that time, because the problem was there, but nobody was ready to identify the problem. Because for scalability, you need data. For scalability, you need the right information. And the biggest problem, and which farmers, traders, processors are realizing it soon, for them to scale, they need the right data, they need the accurate data, and they need faster information. AgNext revolutionized in getting this technology. Before that, I don't think there were, I'm not sure, like we are totally a category innovator. So the solution has come. People are accepting it nicely. There's great traction. It's not only in India, but out of India also, people are awed by how technology can make things easier for them. So it's a great time.
And especially if you have almost $21 million coming as funding, then it definitely means there is strong third-party validation that's happening there.
Yeah, I mean, because investors have been pretty smart to understand the problem, and they put in the right problem to be solved.
Yeah, exactly. Nitin, in fact, coming to you, digital series. So when we look at businesses, next businesses of the future, digital marketing, digital strategies for communication, marketing, branding, they are also becoming increasingly important. Because at the end of the day, you have put in your hard work and effort into building something up. Then you need to kind of correctly get the message across as to what exactly are you doing. Like Vikram was saying, it's a lot about trust. It's a lot about making sure that you trust the systems that you are relying upon. Blockchain basically does that by kind of creating these distributed ledgers which are immutable. So you know that this is what the transaction sequence is like. So in such a scenario, what are the challenges that you're seeing for businesses that you are trying to build up through digital marketing, digital strategies, social media, the metaverse? There are, just when you're kind of grappling with one kind of platform, that from print you move to TV, from TV you move to digital platforms, from digital you suddenly start already thinking of the metaverse. So what are the challenges that you're facing and what are the opportunities you're seeing there?
Well, first thing first, thank you so much for having me on stage with Biznext. I'll take you back in 2016-17 when I was doing this research on digital marketing agencies, marketing advertising agencies, agencies in Tri-City, in North India region, agencies which were providing services, different marketing oriented, advertising oriented, brand management oriented services to different sectors, education, automotive, F&B and whatnot. So while researching on these agencies, I found that they were already doing marketing. They were switching towards digital, but they were not thoroughly sure about it because it was back in 2016-17. So I sort of, after my research, I sort of thought that, see, one thing was sure that we wanted to do something differently. I had that sort of thought that if we don't do something different, if we don't differentiate, I'm sure that we're gonna die because they're like every year there are like a lot of marketers coming out, a lot of new agencies are popping out, and mostly these are social media marketing agencies, these are search engine oriented agencies, these are those agencies who are gonna push brands to be on the internet and make sure you maintain your online reputation there. So we came up with this ideation, the product, the service which we call digital brand management. So the very first challenge was to not just convince the client but also to educate that this might be future. Well, again, in the past times, because I'm talking about 2017 when the meta wasn't there. We were just talking about Google and Facebook. We were just talking about, okay, search engine, yes. We were talking about online reputation management, but not like the way we talk about it today. And, in 6 years, like for an example, now if I talk about post-COVID, earlier we were the ones educating our clients. Now they are the ones who educate us about it. The different sort of strategies which are there, like people are aware about it. It's more of a necessity. If your brand, if your ideation, if it's not on digital, you're not there. You're not there at all. So it's more of a need which has to be there. A sort of challenge, if I say, now for an example, all right, so digital is moving towards digital artificial intelligence. AI is taking place. It's not just a trend which is a bubble. It's gonna be future. It's gonna be future for sure. It's sort of, everyone has an access to it, and we've been testing it back in workspace, like back in digital series. We've been testing it from last 6 months now, and let's see, another 2 months we'll be in a place to, put it in our systems to, start running the process altogether. Apart this, I would say, like for the startups, there are a lot of social media, a lot of search engine oriented agencies are popping out, a lot of digital marketing agencies are popping out. But a saturation that people open up their agencies and they just shut it after 6 months because they were not sure about it. I feel that is something which is impacting, impacting the market in a very different way, which it shouldn't, because we need to be very sure about technology, which technology to adapt. I feel, change is inevitable. The economy is changing, the market is changing, the consumer is changing, that they're changing their shopping habits, they're changing their minds. Everything is being improvised through digital panels, and nowadays people are more aware about everything which may come across. So our strategy is to just try and test everything thoroughly before we come up with okay and tested formulas for the coming times. Right, I would say that.
Yeah. In fact, all of you are pioneers in the kind of businesses that you're doing, which are the cutting edge. Earlier, it used to be all about the haves and the have-nots, that some people have all the money, some people have no money. But now it seems to be also a case of technology haves and have-nots, because the difference is now becoming more and more pronounced. Either you stay in the game or you will fall back so much that it will be difficult to catch up technologically, to have the kind of skill sets available. For example, like what you're talking about, blockchains, and utilizing them in multiple businesses, and it's only going to grow. There is no doubt about it. When you started off from scratch. You built up your company. Eventually, you have 600 employees now. You're looking at 1,000 employees now. So it's a growing business. Do you see a challenge in explaining to others down the stream? Because ultimately, you are the pioneers. So you are at the leading edge of the technologies that you're operating in. But ultimately, you have to work with the rest of the population to make sure that the business is viable. So do you face a challenge in terms of acceptability of your ideas, your concepts, your Biznext idea? Do you see a certain challenge there, or are they open to adopting the ideas that you're talking about?
So talking in terms of our customer, is that
yes, in terms of, because ultimately you built up a business which is a leading business, and obviously it's a growing business because your trajectory clearly shows it's growing. Yeah. But I'm still talking about that certain level of resistance that is still there. That what are you talking about? Why should I have blockchain in my business? Right. Like as I was listening to her, I was almost thinking of how blockchain can actually integrate with AgNext also, in terms of creating immutable ledgers of how fields are being kind of treated and improved step by step. So one can see that there is so much utilization of all of this, but is there a certain resistance to its adoption?
Yes, I would say the barrier to entry, I would say they are a little high understanding blockchain, right? As long as you're not able to, make the people understand in their own language, like in a more simpler way, simplified fashion. So it's difficult for any, that's why you see very less number of, companies, focusing on this blockchain. Even for the, for the engineers who are working in the web 2.0 space, because we are transitioning, we have already transitioned from web 1.0 now to web 2.0, and now we are moving towards web 3.0. So even for the engineers who are working in the web 2.0 space, it's a little challenge actually to overcome this, the barrier. So it's very imperative actually, you have to kind of mold your training stuff, in such a way that there is acceptance, of your ideas, of the kind of what you are trying to, initiate, what you are trying to kind of like promote within your company, and as well as within your customer as well, right? So the two aspects. One is towards the people, right? So that's the challenge we faced actually. When we started, we could not find, the people who had immense knowledge, enough knowledge about the blockchain. So for first 1 or 2 years, we kind of like struggled a lot, and then we decided, okay, let's bake our own bread. So that was the time, like 3 years back, we started L&D in-house, and we started training the people, in their language, right? So that's the reason, like why yesterday only we launched this, under the title the entire school of blockchain, where we have launched like F60-day program, wherein we claim that anyone who is working in the Web 2.0 space, we can convert them into the blockchain engineer within 2 months time. So that's how we solve that pain area, by taking the responsibility on our side. And now the vision is not to is beyond our own needs actually, wherein we can make Punjab as the capital of the blockchain by imparting the blockchain education to the youths, to the engineers passing out every year. Similarly, on the customer side, like as long as customer knows their all the businesses know their customer very well, right? And every entrepreneur is like they are kind of trying to solve their customer problem in a way so that they can retain their customer, they can grow their businesses, right? And since blockchain is all about trust, all about transparency, all about provenance and immutability, like the moment you identify that problem, and see the challenge with the businesses, like in the adoption of the blockchain, is like the experience part, right? Because any application to be successful, the very first question, like if you launch any software application or mobile application or anything like that, the very first question your customer, the prospective customer, is going to ask, what is in it for me, right? As till the time any application doesn't save money or time to its customer, it will not be successful, right? So as long as you are able to address those answers, right? So if there is a good, I would say, like monetization models inbuilt, where the customer feel the advantage, the like what it is doing, what it can do for them, then you can kind of like make them successful. So the point I'm trying to make over here, like is the design thinking part. Like if you apply your design thinking theory, like within how you build products for your customer, then it is easy to kind of like gets into the hands of the customer,
increase the adoptability.
Exactly.
So like he's talking about the design thinking, so I'll quickly get in a last word from you. Whenever these events start off, it seems like half an hour is a lot of time, but somehow I don't know where it disappears. So but Sparsh, quickly, what are the trends that you are seeing in this kind of area that you're operating in? As you look over the horizon, where do you see these kind of sensor-driven, quality-oriented, data-driven technologies which have this underlying basis of very traditional businesses? So when you look to the future, what is the trend that you see there?
Yeah, before answering this, while you mentioned the use case of AgNext and blockchain, we have already partnered with a blockchain company called Haryana that's based in Switzerland, and they have invested, Swiss government has invested in us. So there are lots of use cases in blockchain. So I also like totally buy for,
there you
on the blockchain. So
right.
Yeah. Now coming back to AgNext, yes, these are traditional businesses, but with these technologies, people are adapting. As I mentioned before, last 4-5 years have been a growth path for everybody, even for consumers. The availability of internet, digital, has been very educative for everyone, whether it's, and I'm assuming I'm putting in all target segments. I'm putting in customers, I'm putting producers, I'm talking about companies. So it's been very educative, it's been very informative. So with this informative customer base, now when you have to put in new technologies, then obviously we have to work a notch higher. So so there has been a lot of, so I think that we, clients have to be made aware of the problem and the solution. So when we will go to clients, as Vikram mentioned, you have to, the customers always ask that what is in it for them. So we have to provide them the value proposition. So it's been educative, it's been a challenge, but it's been a journey because information is there everywhere. People are receptive, but then again, you have to justify. And I think once these technologies are there, and then, people, and with now, we're hearing about ChatGPT. I was accessing ChatGPT and it's amazing. I mean, the way things are revolutionizing, I think it's a great time. It's a time for everybody to learn. So in terms of trends, I think we need to be adaptive. Everybody's adaptive, but the notion has to be set properly. The text has to be set properly.
Great. Nitin, I know I'm being unfair on you, but I'm going to give you just
that's fine.
a couple of sentences to kind of, like she was talking about ChatGPT, one of the major areas where ChatGPT is also now playing out is in branding, in kind of generating content, in terms of being able to kind of write out stuff which somebody would really need a master's degree in English to be able to kind of churn out. So all of that has now become very doable. So these are threats. But how do you see the future in terms of the kind of pioneering businesses that you are in? You have 2 sentences.
Well, I would not call it a threat. It is not. It's more of an opportunity. Like she said, it's, see, adaptability of something new which is gonna change how we see the future or how we imagine the future is, the acceptance has to be there. Like for an example, I'm not so big fan of ChatGPT, but I like copy.ai. I like Flicky. I like, I like lot of applications which are available on Futurepedia. Like I said that we are testing it. But I feel, well, imagine a machine could imagine like a human. It's a plus point. We should not get offended by it. We humans, we are creators, we are creative. The machine cannot be creative. Machine will take your command. What I feel, in my opinion, we should be ready with our commands. Because it's there. Yes, test it well. Before executing, obviously, anything can bounce back. Right. A business strategy could bounce back. Any ideation could bounce back. Right. So yeah, test it well. Be very sure about it before putting it into an execution to formulate anything and showcase it in front of the audience. Yes, need to be very sure about it. But it's an opportunity, I'd say.
Right, so test it. So that's what I think every business is about, testing it out. Like there is also this website where it replaces the word very. So if you write very good, it says, don't say very good, say excellent. So, so a lot of tools have now become available to kind of ease up a lot of things.
Technology should be an enabler. Yeah. And that is what is happening, even for ChatGPT and other AI tools. Yeah. I think they are enablers, technology, AgNext technology or blockchain, they are enablers.
Yeah, I think we are living in very exciting times because these are kind of jobs that one wouldn't even conceptualize in terms of the kind of opportunities that now exist. So thank you so much. I know we haven't been kind of really able to go into the depths that we would have liked to, but the idea here is everybody gets a sense of what's going on, and then we can always have a detailed discussion later on. So thank you so much for participating in this Biznext event with Network 18. Thank you so much.
Well, I'd request our guests, our panelists to please stay back on stage with us for a few more minutes. Sir, I would like to request you to come back on stage for a few more minutes so that we can extend our gratitude for being with us, for being a part of the panel. And thank you so much for such insightful conversation. Of course, it is the session called Starting and Sustaining Next. The takeaway for us for sure is that good times are ahead. As Jyoti said, exciting times are ahead of us. So that's a positive thought that we'll take away from this session of yours. Thank you so much for being with us. I'd like to request Jyoti to kindly felicitate our guests, our panelists. While we move on to